India, a land of majestic rivers and diverse landscapes, is increasingly facing the fury of floods. Every year, the monsoon season brings with it the threat of overflowing rivers, inundated cities, and widespread devastation. These floods cause immense suffering, displacing millions, destroying livelihoods, and claiming lives. Understanding the factors contributing to this recurring disaster is crucial for developing effective mitigation and adaptation strategies. We must address the root causes of this crisis and work towards a future where we live in harmony with nature, not in fear of its wrath. The issue of flooding in India is complex and multifaceted. It is a stark reminder of the delicate balance between human activities and the natural environment. While the monsoon rains are essential for India's agriculture and water security, the increasing frequency and intensity of floods point to a system out of balance. To effectively address this challenge, we need a holistic approach that considers both the immediate causes and the underlying systemic issues. This essay will delve into the primary causes of flooding in India, exploring the interconnected roles of deforestation, urbanization, climate change, inadequate infrastructure, and sedimentation. It will then outline practical solutions, emphasizing the importance of community-based approaches, integrated river basin management, and a paradigm shift towards disaster preparedness and resilience. By understanding the intricate web of factors contributing to floods, we can begin to weave a tapestry of solutions that protect both people and the planet. Forests play a crucial role in regulating water cycles. They act as natural sponges, absorbing rainfall, slowing down runoff, and replenishing groundwater aquifers. Deforestation, driven by the insatiable demand for timber, land for agriculture, and urban expansion, disrupts this delicate balance. When forests are cleared, the land loses its capacity to absorb rainfall, leading to increased surface runoff and a higher risk of flooding. The consequences of deforestation are particularly severe in hilly regions. The Himalayas, often referred to as India's water towers, are witnessing alarming rates of deforestation. This destruction exacerbates flooding in the Indo-Gangetic plains, which are densely populated and heavily reliant on the rivers originating in the Himalayas. The loss of forest cover increases the velocity of water flowing down the slopes, leading to soil erosion, landslides, and more severe floods downstream. Reforestation and afforestation are essential for restoring the water-regulating capacity of our landscapes. Planting native tree species along riverbanks, on slopes, and in degraded lands can help to slow down runoff, reduce soil erosion, and mitigate the impacts of floods. However, reforestation efforts must go beyond simply planting trees. They need to be part of a holistic approach that involves restoring entire ecosystems, promoting sustainable land management practices, and empowering local communities to become stewards of their forests. Rapid and unplanned urbanization is another major contributor to India's flooding woes. As cities sprawl outwards, consuming vast tracts of land, they replace permeable surfaces like soil and vegetation with concrete and asphalt. This creates impervious surfaces that prevent rainwater from seeping into the ground, leading to increased surface runoff and a higher risk of urban flooding. The problem is further compounded by inadequate drainage systems, encroachment on natural drainage channels, and the dumping of garbage and debris in waterways. All of these factors contribute to a situation where even moderate rainfall can overwhelm urban drainage systems, turning streets into rivers and homes into islands. Addressing urban flooding requires a paradigm shift in urban planning and development. We need to move away from concrete-heavy construction towards greener, more sustainable urban designs. Incorporating green infrastructure like rain gardens, green roofs, permeable pavements, and urban forests can help to mimic the natural water cycle within cities. Climate change is adding another layer of complexity to India's flood challenges. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has warned that India is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, including an increase in the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events like floods and droughts. The warming of the Indian Ocean is intensifying the monsoon cycle, leading to more erratic rainfall patterns. This means that some regions experience prolonged dry spells, while others receive excessive rainfall in a short period, increasing the risk of flash floods and riverine floods. The melting of glaciers in the Himalayas, another consequence of climate change, is also expected to contribute to increased river flows and a higher risk of glacial lake outburst floods in the coming decades. Addressing climate change requires a global effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. However, at the local level, we need to focus on adaptation strategies that enhance our resilience to the impacts of climate change that are already being felt. This includes investing in climate-resilient infrastructure, promoting water conservation measures, and developing early warning systems to better prepare for extreme weather events. Section 5. Crumbling infrastructure, when drains fail to drain. India's aging and often inadequate infrastructure is another major contributing factor to the severity of floods. Drainage systems in many cities and towns are outdated, poorly maintained, and unable to cope with the increasing volume of water from heavy rainfall and urban runoff. This leads to waterlogging, traffic disruptions, and damage to property and infrastructure. In rural areas, the lack of proper embankments, levees, and flood control structures exacerbates the impacts of riverine floods. When rivers breach their banks, the water inundates vast areas, destroying crops, homes, and livelihoods. The lack of proper irrigation and drainage systems in agricultural areas can also lead to waterlogging, which damages crops and reduces agricultural productivity. Investing in modern and efficient drainage systems is crucial for mitigating the impacts of floods. This includes constructing new drainage channels, upgrading existing ones, and implementing measures to prevent the clogging of drains with garbage and debris. In rural areas, constructing and maintaining embankments, levees, and flood control structures is essential for regulating river flows and protecting communities from floods. Section 6. Silting up, sedimentation, and the choking of waterways. Sedimentation, the process of rivers and streams being filled with sediment like sand, silt, and clay, is a significant contributor to flooding in India. Deforestation, unsustainable agricultural practices, and mining activities all increase soil erosion, leading to higher sediment loads in rivers. This sediment gradually accumulates in riverbeds, reducing their water-carrying capacity and increasing the risk of flooding. As the riverbed rises due to sedimentation, the water level rises too, making the surrounding areas more vulnerable to even moderate rainfall. This is particularly problematic in the Indo-Gangetic plains, where rivers flow through relatively flat terrain. The reduced water-carrying capacity of rivers also affects navigation, irrigation, and the ecological health of riverine ecosystems. Addressing sedimentation requires a multi-pronged approach that focuses on reducing soil erosion at its source. This includes promoting sustainable land management practices like agroforestry, contour farming, and terracing to minimize soil erosion on agricultural lands. Reforestation efforts, particularly in upper catchments, can also help to reduce sediment loads in rivers. Section 7. Forewarned is forearmed, the importance of early warning systems. Early warning systems play a crucial role in reducing the human and economic costs of floods. By providing timely and accurate information about impending floods, these systems allow communities and authorities to take necessary precautions and evacuate people from vulnerable areas, minimizing the loss of life and property. However, India's early warning systems for floods are often inadequate, particularly in remote and rural areas. This is due to a lack of real-time data on rainfall, river levels, and other hydrological parameters, as well as limitations in communication infrastructure and the dissemination of warnings to communities at risk. Investing in robust and reliable early warning systems is paramount for effective flood risk management. This includes installing more hydrological monitoring stations, developing accurate flood forecasting models, and establishing effective communication channels to disseminate warnings to communities in a timely and understandable manner. Section 8. Community action empowering communities, building resilience. Community participation is essential for effective flood risk management. Local communities are often the first responders to floods, and their knowledge of local conditions, vulnerabilities, and coping mechanisms is invaluable in developing effective mitigation and adaptation strategies. Empowering communities to take ownership of flood risk management initiatives can significantly enhance their resilience. This includes involving communities in vulnerability assessments, developing community-based early warning systems, and providing training on flood preparedness, response, and recovery. Community-based organizations can also play a vital role in raising awareness about flood risks, promoting sustainable land and water management practices, and advocating for policies that prioritize community resilience to floods. Section 9, Integrated River Basin Management, a holistic approach. Floods do not respect political boundaries. They are a basin-wide phenomenon. Therefore, managing floods effectively requires an integrated river basin management approach that considers the entire river system from its headwaters to its mouth. This integrated approach involves coordinating water management practices across different sectors, including agriculture, industry, domestic use, and hydropower generation. It also requires collaboration between different administrative units and stakeholders within the river basin to ensure that water resources are managed sustainably and equitably. Integrated river basin management plans should prioritize the conservation and restoration of natural ecosystems like forests, wetlands, and floodplains, which play a crucial role in regulating water flows and mitigating floods. These plans should also incorporate climate change projections and promote adaptive management strategies to ensure long-term resilience to floods. Section 10, Conclusion, Charting a Course Towards a Flood-Resilient Future. Flooding in India is a complex challenge with far-reaching consequences. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the interconnected causes of deforestation, urbanisation, climate change, inadequate infrastructure, and sedimentation. By embracing solutions like reforestation, green infrastructure, climate-resilient development, improved drainage systems, sediment control measures, early warning systems, community empowerment, and integrated river basin management, we can chart a course towards a more flood-resilient future. Protecting and restoring natural ecosystems, particularly forests and wetlands, is paramount for mitigating flood risks. These ecosystems act as natural sponges, absorbing rainfall and reducing runoff. Investing in modern and climate-resilient infrastructure, including drainage systems, embankments, and flood control structures, is crucial for protecting communities and infrastructure from the impacts of floods. However, true resilience comes from empowering communities to become active participants in flood risk management. By fostering community awareness, providing access to information, and building capacity for preparedness, response, and recovery, we can create a future where communities not only survive floods but thrive in their aftermath. The path to a flood-resilient India lies in recognizing the interconnectedness of human actions and the natural environment, embracing sustainable practices, and working together to build a safer and more sustainable future for all.